100 degrees. Sip with me. I'll pour it hot, so hot. I'll pour it sweet, so sweet. Spilling his tea, spilling and sipping his tea, spilling and sipping his tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's your 100 degree, feeling great, spilling tea. Have a seat and join me. Sip some tea, unwind with me. Let's grab a snack and talk some smack. I'm your girl, I got your back. I got the news, I got the views. I bet you can't wait, I know you can't wait to sip this tea. Sip this tea. Spilling this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's your 100 degrees, shining bright. Set the stage, Hollywood dreams, red carpet scenes, glitter and glow, the secrets I know. Drama with flair, I serve it rare. I got the scoop, I got the proof. I know you can't wait, so come and escape and sip this tea. Sip with me, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling 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 and sipping this tea.
Y'all know we gotta run it back. Get in here, damn it, gang. Y'all know we gotta run it back. Get in here, damn it, gang.
It's your 100 degrees. Sip with me. I'll pour it hot, so hot. I'll pour it sweet, so sweet. Spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's your 100 degree, feeling great, spilling tea. Have a seat and join me. Sip some tea, unwind with me. Let's grab a snack and talk some smack. I'm your girl, I got your back. I got the news, I got the views. I bet you can't wait, I know you can't wait to sip this tea. Sip this tea. Spilling this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling this tea. Spilling and sipping 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 this tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's your 100 degrees, shining bright. Set the stage, Hollywood dreams, red carpet scenes, glitter and glow, the secrets I know. Drama with flair, I serve it rare. I got the scoop, I got the proof. I know you can't wait, so come and escape and sip this tea. Sip with me, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling this tea.
Let's go.
Spilling this tea, spilling this tea, spilling this tea, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea.
Let's go, Diamond Gang. What's good, Diamond Gang? I'm back. I didn't think I was going to be able to make this live stream. I worked late. I did 12 hours today. I was in that field. But I did get a chance to take a look at a few things. So tonight we're going to be talking about Pam Bondi. We're going to talk about Joe Kent. We're going to talk about Markwayne Mullin. We're going to talk about Tulsi Gabbard. We're going to get into quite a few things tonight, y'all. So I'm gonna go ahead and say welcome to everybody that's new here, and welcome to my subscribers. Shouts out to all my moderators. I love y'all to death. But y'all know we got to get right into it. Let me pull up my screen. A lot has been going on, y'all. But y'all know we're going to start off with my girl, Pam Bondi. She showed off just like I knew she would. When we was live last night, she was showing off. So I missed some things with her last night. Hold on, let me make my screen to where the screen is a little bigger. Hold on, gang. Hold up. Why is it so big? Why am I so big? Hold on, let me try to make myself smaller because I want y'all to be able to see this. Here we go. All right, let's get it. Let's go.
We have some big news right now. Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of the United States, is not committing to abiding by the congressional subpoena issued by Republicans and Democrats regarding the Epstein files. According to Congressman Maxwell Frost and Congressman Robert Garcia.
Listen, when I say it went down, it went down. Comer called, I can't think of her name right now, called her a B. Y'all know I ain't gonna cuss, but I'm gonna show y'all everything that's going on. Let's go.
Who have been inside of a private briefing with her today. They say she refused to answer unequivocally yes, that she will sit down under oath and testify in front of the House Oversight Committee, in front of Republicans and Democrats, about the way she has handled the Epstein file.
She called that little briefing as a way to testify or answer questions not being under oath. That's what that was.
Now, this should not come as a surprise to anyone. The DOJ does not want the Attorney General sitting down under oath for a deposition, and she's going to do everything in her power to try to get around it. But a subpoena is a legally...
Now, y'all know I don't fool with Pam Bondi. To be quite honest with you, I hope that she is impeached. But I got to say this. She is so performative and entertaining. I can't help but watch her.
Enforceable document. You can't just avoid a subpoena if you're her. And it's because Congress has the option to hold her in contempt. They have real powers. It's going to be up to whether or not members of Congress want to use it. And well, here's the thing. In a lot of ways, it's time for Congress to put up or shut up when it comes to contempt resolution. We'll see what happens. Spread the word. Follow for more.
The American public should be very clear that Pam Bondi is leading a White House cover-up, and right now the Republican majority is assisting them. What just happened right now was a complete...
Now, of course, she claimed that she was following the law. They did not at all.
Travesty. We were told 24 hours ago that the Attorney General would come in and give a briefing on the Epstein investigation and case. So we showed up, and the first question that I asked specifically, was, do you commit to coming in for your sworn deposition and testimony under oath per the subpoena that was bipartisan?
Congress is not playing with Pam at all. They're not. They all walked out last night.
And that Chairman Comer just put out just 2 days ago. The Attorney General would not commit to following the subpoena and coming in under oath. Yet she wants to come in and set up some type of fake hearing where we ask questions, but it's not transcribed, it's not under oath, and it's not shown to the American people. So we begin asking her the same question over.
I don't know who Pam thinks she is to think that she could get away with that, but it's not happening. If Bill Clinton could go, Hillary Clinton can go, Les Wexner, and whoever else, I don't know who Pam thinks she is.
And over again, if she was going to show up to her sworn deposition, and she would not answer. It got heated, and what was the final straw was when the chairman insulted one of our members in a derogatory term. And
yeah, Comer called her a B. Let's go.
We weren't going to sit there and participate in that.
This is Representative Lee.
Representative Summer Lee. We were not going to allow her to be essentially called a name, something derogatory in the hearing. But along with that, we weren't going to
That was so unprofessional. Seriously.
Participate in some type of setup where the Attorney General sets up within 24 hours some type of briefing where there was no briefing. We sat down, she had nothing to say, and then the chairman began by saying, okay, you can ask your questions now. So there was no briefing given to us by the AG. So the first question was mine. And I asked the Attorney General.
Y'all know Comer, he's a Trump supporter all day long. So he gonna play the games Pam want to play.
Directly. Madam Attorney General, will you commit to coming in for your sworn deposition as outlined in the subpoena just sent days ago by the chairman, under oath and transcribed, and she refused to answer that question over and over again. This is outrageous. It's a cover-up, and we're not going to participate in any sort of fake hearings or games that the AG wants to play.
Well, I just walked out of the briefing room, and what is absolutely clear is that
Congress was not playing. I mean, they were on 10. They were furious.
Pam Bondi has no intention of complying with the law and the subpoena that we have issued for her to be deposed under oath in front of the committee. In fact, what appears to have happened is that she and Todd Blanche volunteered to come brief the committee. And so we walked in today ready to hear information that they would provide to us about what's going on with the Epstein File Transparency Act. And basically they said, we've released what we're going to release.
They tried to run game on Congress and they just wasn't having it. It did not work. They can already put the fire on her butt.
And now you can ask me questions. And there was no oath. There were no cameras. The American public were locked out of the room. And it was clear that they were not prepared to answer questions about compliance with the law. And so ultimately, after Chairman Comer insulted.
But if you guys can remember, she tiptoed and tap danced around the answers. She never answered anything previously. So I don't know why they thought that she was going to answer anything last night.
Lee, who is the lead in many ways on the subpoena, both of Pam Bondi and the subpoena of the Epstein files, and basically was extraordinarily disrespectful towards her. The Democrats walked out of the room because we're not going to play their games.
So just to be clear, the Transparency Act about the Epstein files, that required all of the files to be released by, I think it was in December. Mm-hmm. And there's something like 6 million of them.
They only released about 3 million. So there's still 3 million to go.
About 3 million have been released. 3 million have not. Of the 3 million that were released, the only thing that was supposed to be redacted was the names and identifying information of survivors. But it is clear that a lot of stuff that was redacted.
Guess what? They barely redacted the survivors' names. Anybody that had any type of ties with Jeffrey Epstein, damn near, they redacted their names.
That wasn't pertaining to the survivors, was pertaining to the potential perpetrators, and survivor information was actually accidentally included. So they are not in compliance with the law, according to, as I understand the law. Is that right?
Absolutely. And not only are they not in compliance with the Epstein Files Transparency Act, they are not in compliance with a subpoena of the Epstein files. In fact, it's important to remember that going all the way back to August 5th, we subpoenaed the...
Y'all mark my words, Patel was next. I just didn't have enough time to include him, but he was placed under the hot seat today too.
Full unredacted Epstein files, and the administration has not even attempted to comply with that subpoena. And part of why we launched a bipartisan effort to change the law to force them through the Epstein File Transparency Act to comply with our subpoena is because they were not complying to begin with. Then they missed the deadline, the over redacted, and Todd Blanche himself said to...
And let's not forget, when they let Congress go in to take a look, they were actually spying on them, looking at what they were looking at. Pam got caught doing that as well.
Today, that basically they've released everything they're going to release. Well, that is not compliance with the law. In addition to that, I think what we were all shocked by today is that Pam Bondi was asked multiple times by my colleagues if she would comply with the subpoena for her own deposition under oath, and she refused to answer yes. So I think we can say very squarely that the cover-up continues.
So, Congresswoman, I believe we're here today because I think it was 4 or 5 Republicans on the Oversight Committee.
And that's the thing. More and more Republicans are starting to look at things a different way. A different way.
Joined with all the Democrats to force Pam Bondi to come before the committee. Do the Republicans on the committee who joined you for that, are they with you in terms of the outrage you're obviously feeling about the fact that Bondi is not sitting for a deposition, and also the fact that
The players that we got in place right now, this is horrible. This is horrible. This is, like I said, the biggest cover up you will ever see in your lifetime. This is it. You won't see nothing else. You won't live to see it.
The administration is not complying with the Epstein Transparency Act.
Well, I'll note that the subpoena for Pam Bondi to appear under oath was actually issued by Nancy Mace, who is a Republican from South Carolina. I did not see her in the room this afternoon. I don't know why, but I think it was clear that our colleagues across the aisle were running interference for Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche, asking them leading questions. And like I said, it was set up like a sham hearing, not a briefing. They did not come in with any new information. They did not provide any sworn statements.
I don't know why they thought that they could play them. Like, what? I don't know what they were thinking.
And it appeared that our colleagues were basically trying to say, hey, look, they showed up. And we are not going to accept that as compliance with the law, because
period. And they shouldn't. And I'm telling you, Pam, your day is coming.
The law is clear. We have subpoenaed them. We have subpoenaed the files, and we have passed a bipartisan Transparency Act, which the president signed himself, and they have not complied with.
And she could keep playing, because just like they was going to get find Hillary and Bill, and guess what they did? They brought themselves in there. The
law.
How do you reconcile that, before you go? How do you reconcile the fact that Republicans overwhelmingly voted for the Transparency Act? The Senate voted for it, I think, on a voice vote, meaning everybody voted for it. Everybody agreed. And the president signed it into law. They all made this public display of supporting this transparency, but they're not doing.
Y'all know why they was showing this display of supporting the Transparency Act, so they could go in there and hide stuff and cover up what they needed to cover up. They had a motive all along.
Doing it. How do you reconcile that?
Right. Well, I mean, my question is, how do they reconcile their own beliefs, their own values, their own morals, and their own politics with what the American people are demanding, including their oaths of office, which is that they follow the law themselves? So I think it's very clear the American people,
they don't follow the law. They think they above the law.
Overwhelmingly are demanding justice for the survivors. They want accountability. They want perpetrators to be held accountable, and they can't run from that. And neither can the president. In fact, the questions are not going to end, whether it's questions about his own accusers, which have been covered up in the files, or it's the handling of this case. The American people.
Oh, it's going to come out. More and more people are being called to have depositions. It will come out. Ain't no way Jeffrey Epstein's fund for survivors should have paid out on nothing for Trump. Nothing.
People are not going to let this go. And I think that my colleagues understand.
I showed y'all that last night. There was an actual case where he was Jeffrey Epstein's co-defendant.
And that's why they have joined us on occasion to hold them accountable. But
hold up,
it is very clear.
Hold up, Diamond Gang. I need y'all to hit the like for me. We got a lot of information to go through. I mean, I brought it tonight. As tired as I am, I did 12, almost 13 hours today. Please hit the like. I'm not asking for a super chat, a super sticker, or a cash app. Just a simple like. Please and thank you. Let's go.
That the Trump administration is doing everything that they can to run from this, and we are going to hold them accountable.
I made it crystal clear I will follow the law. Under the Epstein Transparency Act.
Here she go, y'all. Here she go with the dramatics. Let's go, Pam. Show out like you always do.
We had 30 days to redact and release, under the law that was passed, 3 million documents. If you stack those up, that's the height of the Eiffel Tower.
Now listen, I don't fool with Pam, but right here, what they should have asked for, if possible, was more time. If this is the case, if this is the reason, they should have asked for more time, an extension.
No other administration, under the Biden administration, they released 0 documents. So we did our very best to comply with the law. And of course, we don't want any victim to be further victimized. And that's why we had 500 attorneys with the.
Y'all hear what she just said? But she wouldn't even look at them. She wouldn't face them and she would not apologize to them. So come on with the BS, Pam. You wouldn't even look them women in the eyes.
Criminal division with the National Security Division, with the FBI working around the clock to do the best we could. I think it was less than 1% error. Let me be clear on this case. This case has spanned multiple administrations. It started under Bush. It went to...
I agree with her. I definitely agree with her. They could have had Jeffrey Epstein to where he wouldn't have been able to do this ever again to nobody years ago when he got that sweetheart deal and he got the slap on the wrist. I agree with Pam. Absolutely.
Obama, it went to Biden. We were the only, no documents were released, only under the Trump administration. And we released 3 million documents, had 500 attorneys working on that, complying with the law the best we could and protecting victims in doing it.
So that's a lie. They did not protect a lot of them. They doxed them. They showed phone numbers, addresses, IDs that were in the Epstein files. They showed a lot of their information. Let's go.
I just walked out of a fake deposition, fake hearing with Pam Bondi, where Chairman Comer called me a bitch. So here's what actually happened. We had already...
They act like they was in a corner in the hood somewhere, the way they was acting last night. This got crazy.
Subpoenaed her because she has not been in compliance with our subpoena and the Epstein Transparency Act to release the full, complete, unredacted Epstein files. She has been withholding them. She has been obstructing justice since last July. And a couple weeks ago, we finally got bipartisan support to subpoena her, to bring her.
Hold on real quick. Terry, I get what you're saying. However, there was multiple reports coming through. Again, the feds were asked to stop investigating. So it's like, come on. Some people knew what was going on.
Into our committee to ask questions. Now, today's attempt, sham of a hearing, was your attempt to bypass that. Multiple times we asked her if she would come in and she would talk to our committee on the record, under oath, in the public. She refused to do so. So instead of directing any more questions to her, where she's not under oath, where she can continue to lie to us, I directed my questions to our chairman to see if he would compel her to comply with the subpoena that he signed and that he issued. He could not respond. I asked him if she did not come, if he would hold her in contempt, move with contempt proceedings like he did with other people who he said did not comply with our subpoenas. And instead of answering this simple question with a yes, of course, he said that I was bitching and that I was wasting his time.
That's what I'm saying. That right there, total disrespect.
And that we didn't have to talk about this anymore. So that's where we are. That's why we are trying to move to impeach her. That's why we introduced those articles of impeachment, because it is clear that she has no intention on cooperating with Congress. She has no intention on cooperating with the American people. She is not seeking justice.
And all Pam is doing is making it worse on herself, because they're just going to keep hounding her.
For survivors or anyone else. She is there to run cover for Donald Trump, for his allies, and for herself. And it's time that we get her out of there.
So it turns out things got very heated very quickly when Attorney General Pam Bondi and the Deputy Attorney General showed up on Capitol Hill to brief lawmakers on the House Oversight Committee on their Epstein investigation.
Now, Diamond Gang, real quick, once we go through this next clip, we're going to hit on Joe Kent. We're going to hit on Tulsi Gabbard, because she was acting like Kristi Noem and Pam Bondi too. She was tap dancing around those answers. Let's go.
Now, remember, this is the same committee with Republicans who recently issued that subpoena for Pam Bondi to come and testify during a deposition. This was just a briefing that they were supposed to have with lawmakers that was scheduled before that subpoena came out. But it didn't take long after they got behind closed doors that there was an argument between a Democrat on the committee, Summer Lee, and the Republican chairman of the committee, James Comer.
He loved Donald Trump. He's the one that came out of Les Wexner, not Les, but the attorneys, not the attorney, but the accountant, and said that the accountant said that he never seen anything with Donald Trump. He came out like that was golden.
Summerlee was essentially complaining that this was basically a hearing that was happening without cameras, without the public being able to see what it was that Pam Bondi was saying. And a lot of the Democrats were asking if she was still going to honor that subpoena and show up for a deposition with them. Chairman Comer was responding that it was a briefing and was asking if they would feel better if they put the chairs in the room in a circle to make it seem like more like a briefing. And then he asked Summerlee if she was just trying to embarrass the Attorney General or if she was actually trying to get information about the Epstein investigation.
What's up, Meek? What's up, X? What's going on, y'all? I'm glad to see y'all.
Summerlee responded that she was just questioning him about the rules of the committee and the decorum of the committee and whether or not they were still going to issue and conduct that deposition with Pam Bondi. Then it got really heated at one moment where Chairman Comer responded to Congresswoman Summerlee and said, "You've wasted 3 minutes of everyone's time just kind of," and I'm quoting him now, "bitching." Summerlee responded, I'm told, according to someone who was in the room, "Really? Wow, bitching." And there were audible gasps inside the room when Chairman Comer made that remark. Later, Democrats left.
They got into it big time. I can't wait to show y'all this clip of Markwayne Mullin trying to fight somebody. This is crazy.
And you saw them at the microphones saying that Pam Bondi wasn't answering any of their questions, as the Attorney General herself argued that Democrats weren't asking anything of substance.
To me, it's very clear that the purpose.
That's what kills me. She always say that, nothing of substance. Or you wouldn't ask so-and-so that question. That's her favorite line too.
Of this entire fake hearing, this fake deposition, is the Attorney General trying to weasel herself out of sitting in front
She tried to get him the 52 fake out. It did not fly.
of us under oath, under a bipartisan subpoena that we gave her committee.
Oh,
we asked her multiple times.
Hold on, let me highlight this. Hold on, Diamond Gang. I love y'all. Thank you, sis. That's my sis. That's my baby. Thank you. Let's go.
Are you going to come and speak with us under oath? She would not say yes. Filibuster would not say yes. And so why do we, and then our Republican colleagues say, is this not enough? Why don't you want to speak to her now? We want her under oath because we do not trust her. Why don't we trust her?
That part. Hit the like. I need y'all to hit that like, please and thank you. Hit the like. It's free.
Because she's a liar. Look at how that Judiciary Committee hearing went. She was spying on members of Congress when they were in the DOJ looking at the documents.
I told y'all she was spying, looking at the documents.
Redacted. Look at what she's done as far as not putting documents relating to Donald Trump on the website, not releasing them, and only doing it when the public noticed and said something about it. We want her under oath because we don't trust her. We want her under oath because she has shown that she is involved in a cover-up. My Republican colleagues under the last administration would not stand for this, with Merrick Garland being in front of them, not being under oath. They wouldn't allow that to happen for a second.
That part. It is what it is. Her day is coming. It's coming. I say this every live stream. What you do in the dark comes to the light. So she could run, but she can't hide. Pam is going to have her day, just like Kristi Noem, just like Kash Patel will get his day, and Trump will get his.
So I just got home from the most insane bullshit that Attorney General Pam Bondi and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche tried to pull. So I want to tell you guys what happened. So as a reminder, last week, the Oversight Committee on a bipartisan basis issued a subpoena for Pam Bondi to come forward and take part in a deposition. As you know, we've
that part, Tyre, you can't hide. You right about that. I can't wait to get to the comments section.
Had many depositions. The Clintons were deposed. Les Wexner, Jeffrey Epstein's financier, has been deposed. I traveled to Ohio for that. We've had Epstein's accountants deposed. There are many people that are being deposed as part of this investigation. And given Pam Bondi's refusal to release the entirety of the files and all of the other things.
And don't forget, Diamond Gang, that Black security guard, that young girl, she's going to have to go up in front of Congress. They're going to ask her questions about her Googling Jeffrey Epstein and about her receiving those cash deposits.
Things she's done as part of this cover-up, she was deposed. So suddenly yesterday, we get notified by Chairman Comer that there's going to be this briefing by Bondi and Blanche with no information about what that means. Truly, like we didn't even know the format. A few hours prior, we found out we'd be able to ask questions. So we show up and it becomes very clear quickly.
Let me highlight this. Y'all, let me highlight this. Bingo. All right, let's go.
This entire fake hearing we had, the intention of it is so that she doesn't have to come and be under oath as part of a deposition. To paint the picture, we were in the committee room for the oversight committee that we're always in, where we have public hearings. You've seen this. This is where, the
Pam knew she was going to give them the 52 fake out and they were really going to go for this. That's one thing I don't like. Do not insult my intelligence. And that's what I believe Pam did last night.
Media is there. C-SPAN is there. Everything is super transparent and accessible to the public. This was closed door. She was not under oath. It was not being transcribed. It was not being recorded. And there was no briefing. They didn't even do 5-minute opening statements. It was just 3 minutes of each of us asking.
I just wonder what Pam was going to do. Let's just say they just played along with her game. What was she going to do? Or what was she going to say? Like, girl, stop it, Pam.
Questions. And we decided to not take that at all. And we just kept asking her over and over again, do you intend to follow the law and come forward in front of this committee under oath? This lady would not answer the question. She was being so defensive. She was, I don't know how they thought this was going to go well.
But I can't deny, I love a Pam Bondi crash out. She know how to crash out.
Because they just looked even more guilty of a cover-up in the way they were acting and the fact that she literally would not commit to coming forward. And then my colleague, Congresswoman Lee, directed her question at Chairman Comer and said, Chairman Comer, are you going to ensure that Attorney General Pam Bondi comes forward? And if she doesn't, what actions are you willing to take? He decided to use that opportunity to say that she was bitching. And that's when we all just fucking have.
And that's that part right there. It is going to be hard because there are going to be roadblocks. But I truly believe they're going to keep going and they're not going to stop until something happens.
At it and walked out. And this is unacceptable. And I look forward to seeing Pam Bondi on April 14th.
We have some major news this morning.
All right, gang, we getting ready to get into some other news. We're done with Pam Bondi.
A major rift within MAGA is growing as Joe Kent, the former director of the National Counterterrorism Center, who resigned in protest, has come out claiming that Iran was not building a nuclear weapon despite Trump claims. And it comes as Donald Trump himself overnight threw Israel under the bus, seemingly over recent strikes on Iran.
Listen, they're saying that Trump threw Israel under the bus, okay? There's a lack of communication right now. Yeah, but I'm going to wait until we get to that clip and then I'll go further into it, because the way that we see things and the way that Israel see things, there's definitely a lack of communications, but they look at things a different way. So let's go.
On natural gas facilities. So Kent has come out and on Tucker Carlson's show and said that the intelligence he saw showed that Iran posed essentially no threat to the United States at this time. And it comes as Donald Trump is.
And this is the thing too, and I'm going to show you guys this clip. Tulsi Gabbard, she couldn't answer the question either. She was scared to death. She knows that there was no threats. But I'm telling you, Joe Kent put this together. I mean, I just pay attention and listen.
Seemingly throwing Israel under the bus over recent strikes on a gas field in Iran, the South Par gas field. These were major strikes, and in response, Iran attacked Qatar's LNG gas terminals. Now, they were reporting that Donald Trump approved the strikes on this gas field in Iran.
Okay, bingo. So Trump threw them under the bus and said that we didn't know. Okay. Israel is saying, yeah, you gave us the approval to do it. Diamond Gang, who do we believe? We had a live stream the other day. Who's lying? So, who knows?
But now he's saying Israel, out of anger, has violently lashed out. And he's saying the United States knew nothing about this attack and says that no other attacks will be made by Israel regarding this gas field. The Qataris got mad at Trump is what happened probably. And all the while, you now have this big rift emerging within MAGA between those who support Trump. And
this is what I'm saying. We are in this because of Israel. And now, things is going bad behind the scenes with them. So Trump is saying we didn't know, and Israel is saying, yeah, you do know. Now, I know Trump threatened to do it. He threatened Iran to do it.
those who support the Tucker Carlson Kent wing of the party. We'll see what happens. Spread the word. Follow for more.
U.S. President Donald Trump said on Truth Social on Wednesday evening that
Now, this is the attack. Let's go.
U.S. did not know that Israel was planning to attack Iran's South Pars gas field. He did say, however, that Israel would not be carrying out any more such attacks on South Pars, and he warned Iran that if it responded to any future Israeli attacks by attacking Qatar, notably its oil facilities and natural gas facilities, that the U.S. in turn would destroy South Pars completely, obliterated.
And that's what they're trying. They're trying not to do this. So I don't know what Israel was thinking. It'll come out.
Remove one of Iran's key economic engines. Now, this raises some questions about, one, whether the Israelis did tell the U.S. that they were planning to attack South Pars before the attack on Wednesday. This does also raise the question, how much longer is the war between the U.S., Israel, and Iran going to?
What do y'all think? Do you think Trump is telling the truth? Or do you think Israel is telling Trump? He tells so many lies. It's hard to believe. But for some reason, I believe Trump on this one. I don't know why, but I just do.
To continue. There have been suggestions coming from the White House that perhaps a couple of more weeks of active combat operations might be at hand. But there are also concerns here in the U.S. that the Trump administration should be looking for some sort of off-ramp, especially given that the upcoming midterm elections will soon be at hand, and American voters, by and large, do not support the current war.
Last night, the president said that the United States...
Now, this is Gabbard. Listen, here, she would not go on record saying that there was a threat. She didn't answer this question, okay? Let's go.
Knew nothing about the attack and called on Israel to stop similar attacks on energy. Israel denies this and says that the attack was cleared by the United States. So my question is, what does the intelligence community assess Israel's goals in this war to be? And are those goals aligned with the goals of the United States?
The objectives that have been laid out by the president are different.
This is something now. Sorry, gang. I thought we was going to get into that. It's the next question. But we're still on. Is Israel telling the truth or Trump? She really didn't answer the question here either. She acted just like Kristi Noem and Pam Bondi.
Different from the objectives that have been laid out by the Israeli government.
And how they differ?
We can see through the operations that the Israeli government has been focused on disabling the Iranian leadership and taking out several members, obviously beginning with the Ayatollah and the supreme leader. And they continue to focus.
And we went over that last night. When you do that, it just makes them more dangerous.
Focus on that effort.
And how does that differ from our goals?
The president has stated that his objectives are to destroy Iran's ballistic missile launching capability, their ballistic missile production capability, and their Navy, the IRGC Navy and mine laying capability.
So the death and destruction continues. The economic cost to the United States, to Israel, to the Gulf states, and to the world continues to increase. So I want to ask you, to the best of your knowledge, do you know whether Israel is supportive of the president's call to make a deal with Iran?
She's acting just like Kristi Noem. Oh, God.
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know Israel's position on that.
And to what do you...
This is what I'm saying. Why don't we know their position if we're fighting together? Oh, my goodness. Okay, let's go.
You attribute Israel's decision to strike Iranian energy infrastructure despite President Trump's call to keep those facilities off limits?
I don't have an answer for that.
What?
So they ignored the president. Do you agree with that?
I'm not privy to any of their
I hope this don't get ugly. That's all I'm going to say. Let's go.
deliberations or what went into their calculus in launching this or other attacks. We are not involved with in the operational element of this. We're providing continuously on a daily basis the intelligence assessments of the events that are occurring.
The Trump official who resigned in protest over the Iran war went on Tucker Carlson's show last night and said,
Gang, if y'all didn't see it, please go watch it. It was a good interview.
That Iran was nowhere near getting a nuclear weapon and that Donald Trump lied. Just watch.
Was Iran on the verge of getting a nuclear weapon?
No, they weren't. 3 weeks ago when this started, and
I'm telling you guys, pay attention and listen to his answer, please, carefully.
Weren't in June either. I mean, the Iranians have had a religious ruling, a fatwa.
They're trying to paint this man out to be a conspiracy theory. He believes in conspiracy theories and he's crazy, and he may go off the rails with some of the things that's out there, but I don't think he's the way that they're trying to paint him.
Against actually developing a nuclear weapon since 2004. That's been in place since 2004. That's available in the public sphere. But then also we had no intelligence to indicate that fatwa was being disobeyed or it was on the cusp of being lifted.
Now that's Joe Kent.
So what and I'm going to play this again, but what he's basically saying, because of their beliefs, their religious beliefs, that they weren't even going to do, they're not going to make any type of nuclear bombs or nothing like that.
Was the former director of the U.S. National Counterterrorism Center. And normally I'd tell you not to listen to that guy because he is insane. He's about as reliable as Donald Trump. However,
See, right there, he said he was crazy.
What he's saying in that interview actually lines up with what other members of Trump's administration has been saying. Yesterday, Tulsi Gabbard.
But after this clip, I'm going to play another clip, and it's going to give you the rundown of his background.
Gabbard and others testify that U.S. intel saw no change in Iran's missile capabilities before the war. Tulsi Gabbard affirmed the conclusion reached by Trump's own defense intelligence agency last year that it would be at least a decade before Iran could get past the technological hurdle.
Did y'all hear that? At least a decade. Let me take this back a little bit. Before they would get past the I can't say it. I can't even say it. I can't. Tech problem.
He's saying in that interview actually lines up with what other members of Trump's administration has been saying. Yesterday, Tulsi Gabbard and others testified that U.S. intel saw no change in Iran's missile capabilities before the war. Tulsi Gabbard affirmed the conclusion reached by Trump's own defense intelligence agency last year that it would be at least a decade before Iran could get past the technological hurdles.
Thank you. Before they would get through the problems, before they would even be able to make anything like that.
To produce weapons capable of reaching the United States. So we saw no change in their missile capabilities, and so far the Trump regime has not provided any intel that says that Iran was close to getting a nuclear weapon. And remember,
did y'all hear that?
Trump said he destroyed their nuclear facilities over the summer, and now apparently they're back again, and that we have to do it again. It just makes no sense. So let me know what you think about what he said, but it's just getting crazier by the day.
And we've mentioned how he is a Trump insider. He was a CIA.
All right, now we're getting ready to get into his background. They said this guy is no fool, and he has a lot of experience, military.
CIA paramilitary officer, as you mentioned, but he's always been a MAGA hardliner who has even pushed conspiracy theories about January 6th and Charlie Kirk's death.
And I have that piece in here about Charlie Kirk.
Does that make his credibility, I guess, in question? Why should the American public believe him that there was no imminent threat and not the president? Do you believe him?
Well, I think that our most sacred duty as Americans, among the most sacred duties, is to always question and hold our public figures accountable. So anything that Joe has said in his capacity as a public figure is open to criticism and question. And do I think that he's an expert on all things the Middle East and Iran and war in that region? Yes, absolutely.
That part right here, because he fought with them, he knows them, he knows the game when it comes to this. That's why I believe him.
absolutely. The other topics, I mean, those are, as a politician, he's commented on them, of course, but they're not his area of expertise that 20 years of war in the Middle East has brought him. So I think it's right to question public figures, to criticize if they don't align with your views, but you can't deny that Joe Kent is probably the most qualified person in any room he's in when it comes to talking about Iran or war.
And remember, Trump picked him. And when he found out that he resigned, Trump then began to say he was weak. You picked him for a reason, Trump.
Or with Iran.
Was Iran on the verge of getting a nuclear weapon?
No, they weren't, 3 weeks ago when this started, and they weren't in June either.
So they weren't in June either. Now, remember, they were in negotiations. They was up, I think it was the 6th round of negotiations, and that is when we attacked.
I mean, the Iranians have had a religious ruling, a fatwa, against
a religious ruling against actually developing nuclear weapons since 2004.
Actually developing a nuclear weapon since 2004. That's been in place since 2004. That's available in the public sphere. But then also we had no intelligence to indicate that fatwa was being disobeyed or it was on the cusp of being lifted. The Iranian strategy, it's actually pretty pragmatic. The Iranians are obviously aware of what's taking place in their region, and their strategy was to not completely abandon their nuclear program because they saw what happened to Muammar Gaddafi in Libya when he said, hey, I've got no more nukes. I'll do what you say. I'll give up my nukes.
And we gave him the Nobel Peace Prize?
Yeah, we regime changed him, and he was, executed by his own people in the most horrific way.
Sodomized by a bayonet. Right. Okay. So that's that's the lesson I think that the entire region took from that when Hillary Clinton.
Unfortunately, that's what the neocon, neoliberal warmongers, that's the lesson that they showed everyone in the region. And then conversely,
let me ask y'all a question. For the ones that believe Kent, put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat if you believe Kent. I don't know why they're trying to make this guy, because he actually made some comments about Charlie Kirk and the conspiracy theory with Charlie that they think he's crazy. But I think he's the truth. I really do, y'all.
The Iranians also knew that if they came out and said, okay, we've got a nuke, whether they were bluffing or not.
I swear, Jamie, I swear, is it Mr. Tano? Yolanda, I love the fact that you do research. I can't stop watching this. It's like a soap opera, y'all. I'm telling you, I'm at work every 5 seconds. Carlton, Jerome, yup. 2, you're going to have to tell me why you don't believe him. You think that he's crazy and it's with the conspiracy theories? Ben, you think that? Put it in the chat. All right, let's go.
Saddam Hussein, Iraq right next door. So they kind of had
he hung, I think.
He was hung.
Listen, you can't deny this man's experience, man. Let's go.
By his own people, after a bloody, war that's still essentially going on inside of Iraq. So the Iranian.
So you think, okay, real quick, is it Ben? Yeah, Ben, real quick. I'm looking at my cell phone. I don't like to go in between screens. But do you think that the conspiracy theories with Charlie Kirk, you think that's what it is? It's just too much?
Position, when viewed from the lens of the region, was actually fairly pragmatic. They were preventing, themselves from developing a bomb, but they still wanted the ability. They wanted the ability to enrich. They wanted the ability to have some components so that they weren't completely stripped of it. And when we always assessed that they were either several months or a year, 2 years away from actually being able to develop a nuclear weapon, and that's not because the Iranians are stupid people. I think we can tell right now that the Iranians are anything but stupid.
And listen, I second that. Trump seconded that. He said that. He said we are dealing with very intelligent people. He said that.
They had the ability, I think, that the brain power to actually develop one, or they could have simply traded a ton of oil with Pakistan or with someone else to actually get a nuclear weapon. They were not doing that. We had no intelligence to indicate that they were. That are killed off, like we just killed.
They're trying to bring up charges against him. Now, he's getting ready to get into one of their leaders that was unalived.
Ali Laranjani, who was.
We went, I think that was yesterday. Yeah. No, I did Epstein yesterday, the day before. We talked about Ali. I told you guys he would be the one that would bring the peace. He knew how to negotiate. He is no longer there. So I'm telling you guys, they're just going to get more dangerous. Let's go.
Was a negotiator who was eager to get us a deal. Again, look, I've got no love for the IRGC. I've got no love for the Iranians. But you've got to realize,
just to be clear,
if you want it to end,
in case you're shooting here now, you fought their proxies.
I fought their proxies. I mean, I put countless of them in flex cuffs or much worse. I've gone after the Iranians. I was in specialized outfits that went after the Iranians and their.
I'm pretty sure he got bodies.
Proxies. These are very serious people. They're not, supermen by any means. They're humans, but they're serious. And if you give the IRGC a reason to take more control and they get support from the people, because again, you kill off the Ayatollah, they can say, hey, the last.
Pay attention. This is why they get more dangerous.
Guy was too moderate. Look at what it got us. Like, give us more control.
I get it.
And the Iranian people are going to be like, well, actually, yeah, I don't like getting bombed by the Americans and the Israelis. Maybe we do need to listen to the IRGC.
So a lot of these, the points that you're making, I think are insightful, but they're also pretty obvious if you kind of game it out for 10 seconds. Yeah. So it seems like you've got two different goals. You've described Israel's goal as just regime change, permanent chaos, take Iran off the map as a coherent nation state, just tie them up with internal chaos, whatever the effects of that are on the rest of the world, all of them disastrous.
So it's like all of their leaders are just about gone. Who are they going to negotiate with? You understand what I'm saying? Like, and they're still saying Ben is alive and he's not.
And on the American side, you have the president's stated goal, which is we can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon, which they didn't have and weren't trying to build in any imminent way.
Right.
Okay. So if you join those two together in a common mission in a war, like that's our partner in this war,
yeah,
then you create all kinds of very bad incentives.
Mm-hmm.
And now Laranjani, I think, was killed by the Israelis.
Yeah.
You saw the Israelis blow up Qatari natural gas facilities today.
Yeah.
In the Qatari natural gas field, which feeds the rest of the world, LNG.
And Trump threw them under the bus, supposedly.
Those seem like very obvious steps, not to minimize the threat from Iran, but to lock.
Charlie Kirk is killed.
All right, now we're going to get into this Charlie Kirk theory, conspiracy theory. I don't know. For some reason, and y'all let me know. I just can't see Charlie Kirk saying this to Joe Kent, but who knows?
Publicly in a very horrific way. And we're not really even allowed to look into that at all. And Charlie Kirk was one of President Trump's closest advisors, and he also advocated heavily against a war with Iran. He was in the Oval Office in the lead up to the 12-day war. I wasn't particularly close with Charlie. He was very gracious to me when I was running for Congress, very, very supportive. So we knew each other. And the last time I saw Charlie Kirk on this earth was in June in the West Wing, in the stairway. And I said hi to him, and he looked me in the eye, and he said very loudly, and it's a small, you've been in the West Wing, it's small, it's a tight space. And he said, Joe, stop us from getting into a war with Iran. Very loudly.
He was single-minded.
And he walked off, and he went, I believe, into the Oval. So when one of President Trump's closest advisors, who is vocally advocating for us to not go to war with Iran and for us to rethink at least our relationship with the Israelis, and then he's suddenly publicly assassinated, and we're not allowed to ask any questions about that.
Let me stop. What do y'all think about that? Now, he claims that he said we're not allowed to ask questions about that. Do you think this happened? Do you guys think that Charlie Kirk said that to him? And do you think that is something more sinister with the unalivement of Charlie Kirk? Please put it in the comments. I just want to know. I never even thought about nothing like this until today, until I seen this interview. Yeah, please, guys, can you hit the like for me? All right, let's go.
It's a data point. It's a data point that we need to look into.
What do you mean When you say we're not allowed to ask any questions about that,
We've been told that this individual, Robinson, is a lone gunman, and maybe he is. But the investigation that I was a part of, the National Counterterrorism Center was a part of, we were stopped from continuing to investigate. And the FBI will say that they stopped that because they wanted to turn everything over to the Utah state authorities. Everything's going to trial. It's very, very sensitive. But there was still a lot for us to look into that I can't really get into. But
what do y'all think about that? Do y'all think that there's more to this? I don't know. I don't know.
There was still linkage for us to investigate that we needed to run down. I'm not making any conclusions. I'm not saying
no, I don't think you are.
Because of this happened. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying there's unanswered questions. We know the pressure because of the text messages that have been made public that Charlie was under a lot of pressure from a lot of pro-Israel donors. And again, we know Charlie was advocating.
Okay. Now, I don't think that he's saying anything crazy at all, that they had more questions. They still wanted to investigate. I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. I don't know why people think he's crazy.
To President Trump against this war with Iran.
We have some big news right now. A series of unidentified drones over Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth's homes on a military base have raised security concerns within Washington, D.C., especially as the war in Iran continues. And it comes as Joe Kent, Donald Trump's former director of the National Counterterrorism Center, went on Tucker Carlson's show and laid it out. Said that Iran never posed an imminent threat to the United States. Let's break it down. The Washington Post is now reporting that there have been a series of unidentified drones spotted hovering over a million.
Now, this is scary. Now, guys, the more and more we start seeing these drones, we are going to probably get a little paranoid.
Military base where Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio live. And the origin of these drones? A mystery. They live on Fort Leslie J. McNair, and there have been multiple sightings over the past 10 days, and it's raising concerns because of the ongoing war in Iran, and has prompted an immediate security review. Meanwhile, Joe Kent, the former National Counterterrorism Director, who is now under criminal investigation for...
Yeah, I heard that. Criminal investigation for leaking.
Possibly leaking classified documents, went on Tucker Carlson's show and laid it out, saying that, in his opinion, what he saw, there is no imminent threat from Iran. And it's causing major, major divisions within MAGA world right now. And the divisions are between those who are completely anti-war in this Tucker Carlson wing of MAGA and who are pro-Trump and therefore support the ongoing war.
Listen, they're going to use that statement, the ones that's anti-war, they're going to use that statement big time from Joe Kent.
More. We'll see what happens, but major rift exposed. Spread the word. Follow along for more.
The White House stated on March 1st.
Now, let's go. This is where we're going back to Tulsi Gabbard. She could not answer this.
First of this year that this war was launched.
This is what made me believe Joe Kent even more.
And was, quote, a military campaign to eliminate the imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime, end quote. That's a statement from the White House. Quote, the imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime. Was it the assessment of the intelligence community that there was an imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime?
The intelligence community assessed that Iran maintained the intention to rebuild and to continue to grow their nuclear enrichment capability.
Was it the assessment of the intelligence community?
She will not answer this, y'all. Listen.
That there was a, quote, imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime, yes or no?
Senator, the only person who can determine what is and is not an imminent threat is the president.
False. This is the worldwide threats hearing where you present.
Meanwhile, he said he thought that it was based off of what they were telling him. That's what Trump said. That's what he said. That's what Trump said. Based off of what they were telling me, I felt like there was a threat. Now she's saying only the president can determine that. Come on, man. Let's go.
To Congress, national intelligence, timely, objective, and independent of political considerations. You've stated today that the intelligence community's assessment is that Iran's nuclear enrichment program was obliterated.
Anthony Tripp, I agree. I definitely agree. Terry, who you talking to? Yeah, bye. But Anthony, I agree. We should all be.
and quote, there had been no efforts since then to try to rebuild their enrichment capability. Was it the intelligence community's assessment that nevertheless, despite this obliteration, there was a quote, imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime? Yes or no?
It is not the intelligence
Bingo. She still can't answer the question.
community's responsibility to determine what is and is not an imminent threat.
Okay.
That is up to the
Here's
president
the problem.
based on a volume
No,
of
it is
information
precisely
that he receives.
it is precisely your responsibility to determine.
She tiptoeing, dancing around, putting the blame on someone else. We never get a straight answer out of this administration. It's never a straight, cut and dry yes or no. Never.
Determine what constitutes a threat to the United States. This is the worldwide threats hearing.
Director Gabbard, last year you testified that Iran was not building a nuclear weapon. Do you stand by?
Just last year, they said that Iran was not building a nuclear weapon. Let's go.
That statement? Yes or no?
Context matters with that
Yes or
statement.
no? Yes.
Iran had all of the
I reclaim my
materials
time.
and
I reclaim my
capabilities
time
to do so.
It's an easy answer.
They may have had the materials, but were they building? She can't answer the question again. Let's go.
You either stand by what you said last year or not.
It is a serious question that requires the
Director
totality of the
Gabbard, I
information
reclaim my
available.
time. When President Trump was asked about testimony, he said you were wrong. Were you lying or not?
Bingo. So Trump said she was wrong. Here we go with the blame game again. This is what this administration does. Shift the blame.
Stand by the intelligence
Great.
community's
With that,
complete assessment.
Trump also said he didn't care what you thought or said. Should he care about what you have to say when it comes to intelligence?
I continue to provide the president with the intelligence community's assessments on all matters.
So let me just
look at Patel next to her looking scared as he don't know what. You better be, because you're next.
kind of get this straight. At the beginning of this war, he said that there were weeks away. I just want to kind of get a sense of, were they weeks away of achieving a nuclear weapon? Yes or no?
Congressman, this is a serious matter, and you've made some very serious mischaracterizations
Yes
here.
or no? Were they weeks?
That's an easy question. They said that Trump clearly said if I didn't get them, they were going to get us. So he made it seem as though that they were planning on doing this.
And so it would be a disservice to you and the American people to answer this question with a mere yes or
Reclaiming
no.
my time. Were they weeks away or not? The American people need to know if this was an imminent threat or not. If they're weeks away or not. If they're months away or not. None of this dodging. Were they an imminent threat? Imminent, to me, means is that they're mobilizing troops. They're moving things into position, artillery. They're getting ready to attack. But everything that we've heard is that this is not the case.
Gentleman's time has expired.
You said, okay, let me read this comment. If she had any integrity, she would have quit with Kent. Thanks, Meek. Please, gang, hit the like. You can support the channel with a Cash App, Super Chat, or Super Sticker. But a like will do.
The only person who can determine what is and is not an imminent threat is the president.
False.
Speaking to the Senate Wednesday, the director of national intelligence tried to explain why the White House claimed at the start of the war that Iran posed an imminent nuclear threat, when the official U.S. intel assessment states the opposite. That
Y'all see that? No clear answer. None. Some say yes, some say no.
Iran's nuclear enrichment program was obliterated in U.S. strikes last summer.
It is not.
So again, remember, Trump said he destroyed everything last year. Not so.
The intelligence community's responsibility to determine what is
and here's the thing. I don't want to say the prime minister. I can't think of his name. And I like this guy. I'll think of it. But he basically said that when they were in negotiations, he said that they were willing to basically dilute what they had and make it something else. You know, and they were negotiating. So let's go. I mean, there's proof that they did have materials.
is not an imminent threat.
Okay.
That is up to
Here's
the president
the problem.
based on a volume
No,
of
it is
information
precisely
that he receives.
it is precisely your responsibility to determine what constitutes a threat to the United States. This is the Worldwide Threats hearing.
It's not the first time senior administration officials have been at odds over the state of Iran's nuclear enrichment program. The mixed messages are drawing new scrutiny after President Trump's top counterterrorism advisor, Joe Kent, resigned this week over the justification for war. Trump dismissed Kent's criticisms earlier this week.
I always thought he was weak on.
Now, I always thought he was weak on security. You wasn't thinking he was weak when you selected him. You didn't think he was weak then.
Security, very weak on security.
I asked the president's press secretary about that yesterday.
Why would he name someone to run the counterterrorism center who he thought was weak on security?
The president. That part right there. I just said it. Why? Why did you pick him?
The president gave Joe Kent a chance. He thought he was a good guy with.
So you give somebody just a chance? Okay, so I could bounce my little butt up in there. You gonna give me a chance? Like, come on. You gave him the opportunity, and I'm not even going to call it a chance because he was very qualified.
Good military experience, and unfortunately, he proved he was not up for the job.
Multiple sources tell CBS News the FBI is investigating Kent in connection.
He was up for the job. He wasn't up for the lies.
Connection with alleged leaks of classified information. Sources say this investigation predates Kent's resignation on Tuesday. The FBI had no comment on this, and Kent has yet to respond to CBS News' request for comment.
The U.S. Director of National Intelligence told Congress yesterday that Iran's enrichment program was obliterated, that the U.S. has seen no efforts to try to rebuild their enrichment capability. Do you agree with that assessment? Do you have any indication that the new Supreme Leader would want a weapons program?
Well, I don't disagree with that. We don't see major activity, which is logical.
I grabbed this clip because I liked his perspective on this.
Because there is a military campaign ongoing. Whatever you're not going to start, bringing cranes and workers.
But they weren't doing it in the lead up to the war either, according to the Secretary of State.
Maybe. By the way, what we have is satellite imagery.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So at least the IAEA, maybe others have other technical means or personal means to check what is happening. As far as we are concerned, we haven't seen activity. But as I was saying, a lot has survived. They have the capabilities, they have the knowledge, they have the industrial ability to do that. This is why we need to go back to a negotiating table. It's going
that part, negotiation table. They really do.
To be needed.
So do you think that this is an illegal war?
Yeah, it is an illegal war. And, obviously, once it began and once Iran responded by attacking theoretically neutral Gulf countries, the nature of the war.
They were attacking neutral countries, but they claimed that they were only hitting U.S. targets in those countries.
That point changed in that those countries and their allies have a legitimate reason now under international law to defend themselves. But the beginnings of this war, the trigger of this war, the U.S.-Israeli attack.
But again, Trump said that they were surprised at that. They didn't think that they were going to do that. Why didn't you? If these people are so dangerous, like you say they are, you said you didn't think that they were going to block the, I can't even think of the name of it, Hormuz. You didn't think they were going to do that. You didn't think that they were going to attack, the neighbors. He underestimated Iran.
Attack on Iran was illegal. And yesterday, Trump's
the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah, he didn't think that they were going to do that.
National Security Coordinator, Tulsi Gabbard, essentially acknowledged in Congress in her written testimony, which she then didn't read out, I think, for embarrassment. But in it, she said very explicitly that there was no imminent threat. And then went on to say, but it's actually up to the commander-in-chief to decide what an imminent threat is. So,
right. And he said, based off of what they were telling him, that's exactly what Trump said.
there was this sort of pushing aside even of the intelligence assessment, let alone international law, in terms of the origins of this conflict.
As far as
Now,
200 billion.
let's go back. Okay, let's go here. Pete, you know, gang, that they can rate asked us for 200 million. Okay, the Pentagon may seek 200 billion, for the war. He said it takes money to get the bad guys, to unalive the bad guys. I'm like, oh wow.
$1 billion. I think that number could move, obviously. It takes
Why can't y'all push for negotiations? Why?
it takes money to kill bad guys. So we're going back to Congress and our folks there to ensure that we're properly funded for what's been done, for what we may have to do in the future.
So get ready, gang. This is far from over, and it's going to hurt us for a long time. It's going to sting.
Ensure that our ammunition is, everything's refilled, and not just refilled, but above and beyond. I mean, President Trump, as he said, rebuilt the military in his first term, didn't think he'd use it as dynamically in his second, but he had. So thank goodness he did that. And an investment like this is meant to say, hey, we'll replace anything that was spent. And now that we're reviving our defense industrial base and rebuilding the arsenal of freedom and cutting deals like our great deputy secretaries here is doing,
what y'all feel about that? Because it's us, the taxpayers. So they're getting ready to go to Congress and say, give us $200 billion more for this war that we don't want. We don't want this. Majority of us don't want this war. It's more against it than for. Let's go.
Lead times on exquisite munitions, we're going to be refilled faster than anyone imagined. The world.
Then he said, listen to this. He's saying that we should be saying thank you. Everybody, the whole world should be saying thank you to President Trump. Let's go.
The Middle East, our ungrateful allies in Europe, even
they mad because everybody told Trump, no, we're not getting in that. You didn't consult us before.
Segments of our own press should be saying one thing to President Trump. Thank you. Thank you for the courage to stop this terror state from holding the world hostage with missiles while building or attempting to build a nuclear bomb.
I don't see how Pete get any sleep, man. He toe tap dance. He be dancing and he do whatever. He just does whatever for Trump. Let's go.
Thank you for doing the work of the free world. Yesterday's ceremony reminded us why we fight. Not for nation building or democracy promotion, but to crush direct threats to America, Americans, and our.
But guess what, y'all? I'm going to show you. Trump has been thinking about doing this since the 90s, and I got the proof. Wait till y'all hear this. Let's go.
Our interests. We fight to win, and we are winning.
Given the updated degradation in strike target numbers you laid out, how close would you say we are towards achieving the president's objectives, and what is the end game of the operation without divulging any sensitive battle plans?
Well, we wouldn't want to set a definitive time frame on that, but as we've said,
because there is no time frame, there is no plan, there is no exit strategy. Let's go.
We're on plan. So we're looking at those metrics very closely, relaying that to the president and the national security team, but feel confident that as, again, we're more stand in means we're over the top, even further in, and we have even more of an exact sense of what we're striking and why, and even more dynamically, meaning because the intelligence
he just said a bunch of jibber jabber, but let's go.
Improved, we're able to more quickly identify targets when they, let's say they come out of an underground facility where they've been hiding.
That has nothing to do with the timeline, but okay. They all know how to do this little tap dance around the answers.
And able to strike it before it strikes or right after it shoots. But we're very much on plan. And that's why I want to speak to the American people here. You hear a lot of noise about widening or new missions or speculation about what we should or should not be doing.
But I will say this. They asked Trump, was he sending troops on the ground? He said, no, I didn't say that. I was happy to hear that.
This is a clear set of objectives. The president has given us every capability we need to accomplish that. We've got the best in the world in uniform, executing it on the ground. They believe in and are invested in this mission. And it will be at the president's choosing, ultimately, where we say, hey, we've achieved what we need to on behalf of the American people to ensure our security. So no time set on that, but we're very much on track. Absolutely.
Yes.
Two of our most significant allies.
He did not give an answer, but okay, let's go. Now, this is his plan. So they're going to come and asking for $200 billion from Congress. We have no time frame on the war. And now we're going to talk about our allies. Let's go.
Canada and the UK are currently working to sign trade deals with China because they no longer believe the United States is a dependable partner.
Did y'all hear that? They no longer believe that we are dependable.
That's a remarkable statement in 2026. And in the president's war of choice with Iran, a war that has already killed 13 service members, cost Americans, taxpayers, billions of dollars, and scrambled supply chains from oil to fertilizer to aluminum, nobody answered the call when the president asked our allies to help reopen the Strait of Hormuz. As the president's own counterterrorism chief acknowledged in his resignation yesterday, Iran posed no imminent threat to the United States.
Now, okay? So now we have our allies making deals with China. So let's go over this again. They're going to go to Congress, ask Congress for $200 billion. Okay? We have no time frame on the war. Okay? Our allies are going to other countries to make deals because they said they can't depend on us. Now let's hear from the people. Let's go.
Let's take a listen to one more woman who we spoke with. If you could say something to President Trump and he was going to hear you right now, what would it be?
You're a worthless pile of
And you voted for him how many times?
3 times. That was my bad. Apparently, I'm an idiot.
We have
Folks is mad. All right, let's go.
some major news right now. An American F-35 fighter jet had to make an emergency landing, according to the United States military, after what appears to be an Iranian strike on the American jet.
This happened today. You're not going to hear about it.
Jet is worth tens of millions of dollars. It is an expensive American fighter jet, one of the best the nation has. This would be the first time in this combat, in this war, that Iran has successfully struck an American jet flying likely over Iranian territory.
Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? They hit an American jet. Let's go.
The IRGC, the Iranian government, released a video showing one of its air defense systems striking the American fighter jet. This would mark a significant development because Donald Trump had claimed that Iran's capabilities have been so degraded that essentially America has air superiority over large parts of Iran.
But I showed y'all the other day they still had a lot of things. That's why nobody was willing to help us when it came to the Straits of Hormuz. They knew better than that.
When that may not actually be fully the case. So made an emergency landing. I'll have more updates for you as we get more information on this. So spread the word. And as always, follow along, stay up to date on all the news that you need to know about. I'll have much more to come very soon.
Thanks, guys, for the likes. I appreciate it.
I have some news right now. Denmark reportedly flew blood bags to Greenland.
Listen, this is how serious that they were taking Trump. Listen.
Greenland to prepare for a possible United States invasion. We're learning now that Denmark took it much more seriously than the public realized when the United States and the president were threatening to take Greenland by force. According to DR, which is Denmark's radio,
they was preparing themselves. Like, Trump don't realize when he say stuff, it's literally, people is literally taking him so serious because of the way that he's acting.
Danish soldiers were flown to Greenland earlier this year. They were carrying explosives to destroy runways in the capital of Greenland in the event that the United States was going to invade Greenland. But that's not all. Blood bags were flown to Greenland to ensure that Greenland and Denmark could essentially treat wounded soldiers and wounded people in the event an invasion of the United States occurred. I mean, it was unprecedented.
But get ready, because he said Cuba's next.
And we're now learning that behind the scenes, they took it a lot more seriously than they were talking about it publicly. I mean, everyone knew that Donald Trump wanted Greenland, but Greenland and Denmark were literally preparing for a possible war to break out.
People was not playing with Trump.
On the island, as always, spread the word. Follow along for all the news you need to know about.
Why didn't you tell U.S. allies in Europe and Asia, like Japan, about the war before attacking Iran. So we are.
He said, so we are very confused about it. Why didn't you tell them prior to that you were going to do this? Now you're asking for help is basically what he's saying.
Very confused about we Japanese citizens.
Well, one thing you don't want to signal too much. You know, when we go in, we went in very hard, and we didn't tell anybody about it because we wanted surprise. Who knows better about surprise than Japan? Okay, why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? Okay,
that was not funny, but go ahead.
Right? You know, he's asking me. No, you
great.
believe in surprise, I think much more so than us. And we had to surprise him.
She did not laugh. She looks mad, actually.
And we did. And because of that surprise, we knocked out, the first 2 days, we probably knocked out 50% of what and much more than we anticipated doing. So if I go and tell everybody about it, there's no longer a surprise, right?
If the war is almost over, why is the Pentagon going to ask Congress for an additional $200
Now let's hear what he got to say about the $200
billion?
Well, we're asking for a lot of reasons beyond even what we're talking about in Iran. This is a very volatile world, and the military equipment, the power of some of this weaponry is unthinkable. You don't even want to know about it. Oh, you could end this thing in 2 seconds if you wanted to, but we are being very judicious. But we want to do, don't forget, Biden gave away, I rebuilt the military.
Here he go. Always telling a story. Let's go.
My first term. Biden gave away so stupidly to Afghanistan a lot. He didn't want to move it. He was too lazy, too stupid to move it. But it was a very small amount. It was a lot, but it was very small relative to what I purchased and what I built. We want to have vast amounts of ammunition, which we have right now. We have a lot of ammunition, but it was taken down by giving so much to Ukraine. They gave so much. You know, Biden gave $350 billion worth of.
Come on, man. Just get it out. He wants more ammunition.
Cash and military equipment to Ukraine. And he didn't rebuild anything. Fortunately, we have a lot. We have a tremendous, unlimited supply of what you'd call middle and upper middle armaments and military equipment, munitions, armaments, but munitions in particular.
He sound like me, twisted up with my words. But pay attention because he's been wanting to do this since the 90s, gang. Y'all going to trip on this.
At the high end, we have a lot, but we're preserving it. We don't really need it. But we're building, our manufacturers of military equipment are building at a level they've never seen before. They've never done before. Pete's in charge of it with all of us, really. But Pete's been very, very strong on it. The general and Pete, myself, the whole group. And Raytheon is building 4 factories. Lockheed is building 5 or 6 factories, and they're building them fast.
So he pretty much sounds like Pete. Pete just went on and on and on, but never gave a direct answer.
Fast, because we had a very tough meeting with them. They were going out and buying back stock for $51 billion in one case. They spent $51 billion buying back stock. Now they're not allowed to do that. And they are now building a tremendous, there's never been anything like it, what's taking place right now. So we're in very good shape, but we want to be in the best shape.
That's the answer right there. He wants us in the best shape. He wants us to have the most, the biggest, the baddest
we've ever been in. We were that, when I rebuilt the military, we were in great shape, and then Biden blew it, and he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything.
My thing is when he did rebuild, or what he claims rebuilt the military, at that time, he was anti-war. No more wars, no more wars.
And if you listen to the Democrats, they don't even want to have a military. Now you see how important it is. But we have the strongest military in the world. We have the best equipment. We make by far the best equipment. The other night, they had 114 rockets shot at a certain location. And out of 100 highly sophisticated rockets, out of 114 sophisticated rockets, every single one of them was shot down with our equipment, all our equipment. It's amazing, actually, how good it is. So we want to be sure, and it's a small price to pay to make sure that we stay.
$200 billion is a small price to pay. Okay. It's going to hurt us more than it hurts him.
Tippy top.
Do you intend to lift sanctions on Iranian oil? And do you intend to potentially put U.S. troops or more troops?
I like this answer because he said no. Let's go.
No, I'm not putting troops anywhere. If I were, I certainly wouldn't tell you. But I'm not putting troops. Iran is a serious threat to the world, to the Middle East and to the world. And everybody agrees with me. I think
everybody don't agree. I don't know why he does this, but okay.
Virtually every country agrees with me on that. So I wanted to put out.
They agree so much that they didn't help.
Out that fire. And I said, if I do that, oil prices will go up, the economy will go down a little bit. I thought it would be worse, much worse, actually. I thought there was a chance it could be much worse. It's not bad, and it's going to be over with pretty soon. We've
Okay, I would put money on it. Who want to bet me?
Obliterated their Navy. We've obliterated their just about everything there is to obliterate, including leadership.
But they just hit a plane today.
Their Navy's gone, their Air Force is gone, their anti-aircraft equipment is gone. We're flying wherever we want, Pete. We have nobody even shooting at us. They have, and as you know, their leadership is gone. Their leaders.
Again, I'm going to tell y'all this. When their leadership is gone, it just makes them more dangerous. The main man, that Ali, that would have been able to negotiate is gone.
Are gone. They pick new leaders, they're gone. They pick new leaders, they're gone. And now they're looking for new leaders again. We can take out the island if anytime we want. I call it the little oil island that sits there, so totally unprotected. We've taken out everything but the pipes. We left the pipes because to rebuild the pipes would take years.
And that's not true. If it was not protected, they would not have asked for help to get there.
For them to do. But I would say we are substantially ahead of schedule. And I had to do this. I call it an excursion. I had to take this little excursion and do something that no other president had the courage to do. And everybody wanted.
And that's it right there. This is why we are at war right now. He just gave y'all the answer.
To do it, but they never had the courage to do. And I don't blame them. I'm not blaming them. It was left to me, and we've done a great job. Our military is incredible. We have an incredible military.
You may have.
All right, this is it. This is where you're going to see where Trump has been wanting to do this since the 90s.
I've heard a lot of talk in the news recently in the context of the Iran war of a tiny island in the Persian Gulf called Karg Island. What is this place? Why does it matter to you? Why do so many people seem to keep talking about it? Well, the answer is that this is key terrain in the ongoing energy war between the United States and Israel on the one hand and Iran on the other. And this energy dimension of the conflict is affecting the price at the pump here in the United States. So this island is the place through which about 90% of Iran's crude oil exports flow. And earlier this week, the US military destroyed, reportedly, the military infrastructure defending this island while leaving the oil infrastructure there intact.
And this is why we are so upset with Israel right now, because we didn't touch that. And that's for a reason.
President Trump then suggested that he could still, quote, wipe out the Iranian oil infrastructure on the island. He reserves the right to do that, he says. This is an issue that's actually been on President Trump's mind for some time, as far back as 1988, when then as now Iran was striking ships in the Persian Gulf and mining the Strait of Hormuz. Then real estate developer Donald Trump told the American press that the obvious retaliatory measure then would be, and I quote, to do a number on Karg Island. I'd go in and take it, end quote. That's from 1988.
Did y'all hear that? So he said this back in 88, y'all. He been wanted to do this.
And indeed, the possibility of actually seizing the island, which is about 5 miles long, north to south, 2.5 miles or so, east to west, it keeps coming up in discussions about the future of this war. As boots on the ground scenarios go, it's probably one of the less implausible scenarios, though, of course, there would be very substantial risks. If America or Israel were to destroy the Iranian energy infrastructure on the island, not only could that have an effect on the price at the pump and energy prices globally in the long run, but it also could possibly incentivize Iran to intensify its campaign to restrict traffic in the Strait of Hormuz. You see, because it wouldn't need to get its own energy resources through the strait anymore in the same way that it needs to today if it lost Karg Island. So a seizure of the island, on the other hand, could preserve much of that Iranian oil infrastructure while giving the United States ongoing leverage with the Iranian government. And the recent news that a U.S. Marine Expeditionary Unit is moving to the region has added some fuel to this speculation about potential ground action. Of course, any such operation, any major ground incursion,
Big risk. It's going to be a big risk.
It would be fraught with risk, and it could well, indeed, I would go as far as to say likely, produce casualties, even given the relatively
Could, it will, because you got to have it. They would have to be on the money with this.
isolated nature of this island and the fact that there's no civilian population center on it. And the Trump administration may still prefer the situation as it stands today, or as a middle course between bombing the oil infrastructure on the island on the one hand, or seizing the island with ground troops on the other. It could choose to simply blockade the Iranian energy resources that are currently flowing out of the Gulf.
Senator Markwayne Mullin.
Okay, real quick, we're going to get into Markwayne Mullin. And I just wanted to show you guys this. This is who Trump was trying to select to replace Kristi Noem. Okay? We're just going to go through a few clips, and I'm going to show you just how he get down.
From Oklahoma faced some pretty tough questions from his Senate colleagues. He's the president's pick to lead the Department of Homeland Security after Secretary Kristi Noem's public ouster. His nomination is likely to be fast-tracked, but today's testimony was not without some really tense moments, including
it didn't go well for him, but we'll see.
When the chairman of the committee running the hearing, that's Senator Rand Paul from Kentucky, accused Markwayne Mullin of having anger issues.
Explain to the American public why they should trust a man with anger issues to set the proper example for ICE and Border Patrol agents.
The Kentucky Republican also confronted Mullin for calling him a freaking snake back in February after he tried to block the passage of a fund.
Mark is the one that tried to fight someone else. I'm going to show you guys that clip.
Bill accusing Mullin of saying he understood why a neighbor viciously attacked Paul back in 2017. The nominee was also left to defend his comments following the fatal shootings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy in Minneapolis. He even said he regretted calling Preddy a deranged individual.
Yeah, that was not cool. That was not cool at all.
Those words probably should have been retracted. I shouldn't have said that, and as secretary, I wouldn't.
Mullin also committed to following the law, said agents under him would use judicial warrants to access homes and businesses when making immigration arrests. Mullin also said he would revoke a controversial policy put in place by Secretary Noem that limited DHS from making purchases over $100,000.
I'm going to be honest with you. The way Kristi Noem did, I think anybody would be better than Kristi, but he does have a temper, and I'm going to show y'all.
Without her express approval.
That's called micromanaging, and I don't know if secretary put that in or someone else did. I'm not a micromanager. We put people in, we empower them to make decisions.
That policy has created some headaches for states who are still waiting on FEMA disaster relief payments. The senator from Oklahoma is expected to be confirmed with or without Chairman Paul's support, but all of this is happening amid an extended DHS shutdown. Whether or not the Department of Homeland Security will reopen anytime soon, well, with very little movement on this, that remains an open question.
Mr. Chairman, first of all, I didn't know.
This is it right here.
Wait. Exterior damage. When the phone call was made, I made it to you and I tried to talk to you. You didn't.
Oh, no, sorry. It's the next clip. This is him basically saying, you didn't apologize,
engage at all. In fact, you said, get your paperwork in. It's got to be at 3 days in between.
You offered no apology.
Sir?
And you offer no apology today and no regrets. How Haven't
I don't-
heard the word apologize, haven't heard the word regret, haven't heard I misspoke and it was heated and I made a mistake. Haven't
Actually,
heard any
it-
of those words.
Sir, actually, it wasn't heated, and I'm not apologizing for pointing out your character.
Good. So you're jolly well fine, and you want the American public and the people up here to vote that may or may not vote for you to know that you supported the felonious, violent attack on me from behind.
I did not say I supported it. I said I understood it. There's a difference.
Oh, so
By
that-
calling you,
And so that means you really didn't approve of it, just completely understand it. What do you think most people would interpret completely understand to be? Support for or a condemnation?
I want to be honest. If I was him, I would apologize. Markwayne, I'd apologized a long time ago. His actions is crazy. He gets reckless.
Of the violence.
Sir, as I said, we can have our differences. It's not going to keep me from doing my job as Secretary of Homeland Security. I'm going to secure Kentucky and take care of Kentucky as much as I am Oklahoma.
If this were a one-off, it would be one thing. If you just disliked me so much that you approved of violence against me, people could just write it off. Well, maybe they hate each other. But really, there's a pattern of this.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand up, buddy.
Oh, hold on.
Big
Oh,
guy.
oh, stop it.
Is that your
All right.
solution, every poll?
No, sit down. Sit down. Okay. You know, you're a United States Senator.
Do you think fighting as a resolution for political difference is a good example for the men and women of ICE and Border Patrol?
As you can notice over my shoulder here is my good friend Sean O'Brien. Both of us have had conversations. Both of us have shaken hands. And both of us agreed we could have done things different.
Oh, that's what's
Sean
up.
is someone that has become a close friend. We talk all the time. I've been on his podcast. We've talked through this. That's how you handle your differences. Not like this,
I agree. I agree. And I'm happy that they made amends. Let's go.
Chairman.
After DHS officers shot and killed 2 American citizens this past January, you joined top administrative officials in publicly blaming and disparaging the victims. Following the killing of Renee Good, Secretary Noem called her a domestic terrorist. You, sir, you called Alex Preddy, quote, a deranged individual that came in to cause max damage.
Diamond Gang, still no justice for Alex Preddy or Renee Good. This is sad. It's like we've forgotten.
Could we expect those kinds of quick responses if you are confirmed as secretary? Would you be basically, well, you responded as Secretary Noem. Are we going to just expect that same behavior all over again?
No, Senator. I have a deep amount of respect for you. We've had our differences, but I do respect you.
He has a temper, but I think he would do way better than Christie.
I think I said this privately when we had a conversation. Those words probably should have been retracted. I shouldn't have said that, and as Secretary, I wouldn't. The investigation is ongoing, and there is, like I said, there's sometimes going to make
The investigation was cut and dry.
a mistake, and I'll own it. That one, I went out there too fast. I was responding immediately without the facts. That's my fault. That won't happen as Secretary.
So you regret that statement?
I already said that. Yes, sir.
Would you want to apologize to the family of Alex Preddy?
Well, sir, I just said I regret those statements.
Is that the same as an apology?
I haven't
It's not the same as an apology. I would give a public apology.
seen the investigation. We'll let the investigation go through, and if I'm proven wrong, then I will absolutely.
What? All right, Diamond Gang, that's it. I'm gonna go to the comment section. Gang, I didn't think I was gonna be able to do this. I was so tired. Let me take a look. I love this part. Both sides of the political spectrum have created the environment we are in. I agree. I agree, both Democrats and Republicans. You're right. You said his temper is a good thing. Wait a minute. Means what? No, come on. You can't put that. You got to misspell curse words. Come on. I could have let you have that one, but that got to go. That comment got to go. All right, let me go up. That got to be deleted. You cannot. Listen. All opinions will be respected. And there you go again, still cursing. All opinions will be respected. You just can't be disrespectful, okay? That's it. That's all. Sorry. I don't know how many comments you put in here, but I had to ban you because I kept running into them. double talking. What's really going on? They all do this talk. They all do this talk, sis. They all do it. It's like, oh my goodness, the shuffle. I don't know. You said he was a Democrat at that time. I don't care what he was. He was cutthroat. Like, he got out of his body. All right, let me take a look at a couple other comments. There's probably, hold on. Okay. There's probably a CIA, Mossad groomed government waiting to be installed. You're saying we're Iran? Hold on. Let me go to the next one. Put it in the chat. In Iran, USS Gerald Ford disabled by sabotage and mutiny. I don't know what that means. We're done in this because of Trump. Yeah, this is sad. It's just like, we don't have a, like, what's the end game, you know? Let's see. Warp speed Trump destroyed every mom and pop business. I gotta agree with that, Anthony. You don't see a mom and pop business around. Like, do they still exist? That's terrible. Let's see. 200 billion last about a month and a half, right? Like, this is crazy. This is crazy. And you're right. And they'll be coming back for more money. Because to be honest with you, it's going to be a while before it's over. He's been president, hold on, 6 of the last 10 years. I know. Unbelievable. Now some got buyer's remorse. No. Stick it on out. 70 school children were unalived by sophisticated weapons. I agree, Dave. I agree. And they lied about it for the longest until they couldn't lie no more. Nothing. Biden kept the economy and jobs at higher levels. I agree. But Sleepy Joe, I'm not going to lie. He, I don't know. He was just too old, and I think his mind wasn't there. You said, yeah, you'll get 74 missiles a year. Okay, let me go up. I'm going to read a couple more, y'all. I want to say thank you to everybody that participated from beginning to end. Thank you for hitting the like. Please subscribe to the channel and think about becoming a member. I am trying to start my members only live because we'll have a little bit more freedom in there under members only. So think about it, gang. Put on all of your notifications to be alerted of future live streams. Diamond Gang, I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't know what I'm going to go live. I try to go live now every day. I don't know what it'll be tomorrow. More than likely, if there's something going on with the war, it'll probably be another update. He's a damn felon. Think about that. Our own president legally can't own Pow Pow. It's illegal if you're a felon. Yeah, next, can you please say Pow Pow next time? I gotta delete that, even though I read it, but I said Pow Pow, but I can't have those type of comments. Like, I gotta watch what y'all say. I respect your opinion. I respect all opinions, even the ones that's opposing to mine. Hold on. All right, I'm just gonna delete it. I'm not putting you in timeout. I'm not banning you from my chat or nothing like that, but I gotta be careful. Let's see. You said he's incredibly rude. Who, Trump? Yeah, he say anything. Okay, let's see. Ronald Lauder intended to be the owner of Greenland, identical to Peter Thiel. I don't even know who that is. Prospera. Greenland was like, forget that. He said he was going to do, they was getting ready here. I may not be politically correct, but I come with what I see. I do my homework and I do my research. I just give y'all the news in my way, in my own way. In my own way. Yeah, Cuba is protected by Russia. What? You know that Russia's helping Iran, but we gave Iran some breaks on tariffs and everything. It's just crazy to me. How you helping the guys that's helping the guys to get us? Oh God, that sounds crazy. Crazy, crazy. We need Jesus. Amen. I'm all right with that. Let's see. In my opinion, no difference between Democrat and the Republican Party in D.C. I swear there is no difference. Listen, a little bit of both was in the Epstein files. A little bit of both. Okay, gang. I've been live for almost 2 hours. Listen, if anybody has an opposing opinion or has something to say, I'll drop the link. My sister was here earlier, and she's probably gone by now, but she said she wanted to come up. She's military as well and speak. If anybody want to hit the link, I'll drop it for a little bit. We could go a full 2 hours. If you have a different perspective or just want to come up and sound off, just please don't be disrespectful and don't do nothing crazy because I'll drop you. It's like, no. I'll give it a couple minutes. Thank you to everyone that was here and to all the people that respectfully joined the chat. Yes, we appreciate you. We sure do. I love it. I do. I get super excited when I see you guys. Okay. Army vet here, seen both civilian and with AF sides. So you seen both civilian and military. Yeah. My sister's military, both of my sisters. Actually, I'm military, Army. Who else do I know that might be? I got a couple friends that's military as well. How do you feel? How do you feel? Is it Samida? How do you feel about the war? Are you against it, or you feel like it's the right move? Put it in the chat. Let me know how you feel. I don't like it. I don't. I got to be honest. But I know that it has to happen at times. I just think that I agree. We shouldn't be there. That part. And I know it has to happen in order for us to have certain freedoms and things like that. But this time around, I can't see. I can't understand it at all. You right? I love all my mods, man. I got the best mods ever. All right. So I guess don't nobody want to hit the link because I was going to drop the link for anybody that wanted to come up and share. We ain't had nobody since the guy that came up here that was I think he was from Iran, I think. No, sorry. He may have been from Israel. And he came up and spoke and said why they love Trump so much and how they didn't like their government. And it was a good conversation. So that's been a while. So it's almost a month since I've had anybody hit the link. All right, Diamond Gang. I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here. I got to get up again. Too bad I can't just be a full-time content creator, but trust and believe, every time I get a break, every time I get a chance, I'm pushing content out for you guys. I love doing this. I love it. I wish this could be my full-time job. Maybe one day soon, I would love to be at home creating content and making money. But until then, I got to work. All right, Diamond Gang. I want to say shouts out to everybody that joined this live. Shouts out to my beautiful mods. Thank you guys for coming in. Replay Gang, please, please, please make sure you hit that like. Oh, thank you. Thank you, EJ. You make me just smile all the time. You give the best compliments ever. My head is so big. No. All right, y'all. I got to get out of here. I got to get up early. You guys be good, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm out.
It's your under the breeze. Sip with me. I'll pour it hot, so hot. I'll pour it sweet, so sweet. Spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's Yolanda the Greek, feeling great, spilling tea. Have a seat and join me. Sip some tea, unwind with me. Let's grab a snack and talk some smack. I'm your girl, I got your back. I got the news, I got the views. I bet you can't wait, I know you can't wait to sip this tea. Sip this tea. Spilling this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling this tea. Sipping this, sipping this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's Yolanda the Great, shining bright, set the stage. Hollywood dreams, red carpet scenes, glitter and glow, the secrets I know. Drama with flair, I serve it rare. I got the scoop, I got the proof. I know you can't wait, so come and escape and sip this tea. Sip with me, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling this tea, sipping and spilling this tea, sipping and spilling this tea, sipping and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea.